Every day, over 5 million Americans go to work delivering billions of tons of goods we all need and depend upon. Raw materials, finished products, food, and fuel. Their job is in the cab of an 18-wheel semi-trailer truck, where many will spend up to 60 hours a week. In the past, truck drivers were once thought of as knights of the road, since they often came to the rescue of stranded motorists. Some truck drivers today, however, like to think of themselves as the last American cowboy. Their bad driving practices have earned comments from motorists that are not repeatable. But because they are professional, most truckers are better drivers, more experienced in driving under all conditions, and are generally safety conscious and courteous. With fuel costs continually rising, automobiles have become smaller, lighter, and more fuel efficient, while trucks have become longer, wider, and heavier. With an allowable gross vehicle weight of 80,000 pounds, these trucks weigh up to 40 times as much as the average subcompact car, and motorists are becoming increasingly more fearful of large trucks. This disparity in weight and size leads to more passenger fatalities when a car tangles with a truck. In truck-car collisions, there are 32 passenger car occupant fatalities for every truck occupant fatality. If you look in your rear-view mirror and see a semi-trailer truck bearing down on your bumper, your instinctive alarm is well-founded, since about 1 out of every 4 trucks stopped for inspection in 1983 had defective brakes. But it is not the vehicle, neither the car nor the truck, that causes most accidents. It is the drivers of these vehicles. In more than half of the car-truck crashes, it is the irresponsible actions of the car driver which precipitates the crash, because car drivers don't understand the limitations of the truck.
I don't think there's as many truck drivers out there that ignore the speed and safety as what the average motorist thinks. It's just that the few that do are more noticeable. They get more publicity.
Now that all vehicles, cars, buses, and trucks are required to observe the same speed limits, you as a motorist will be more likely to have a large truck traveling right along with you and even passing you. So the more you understand the problems and limitations of driving these big rigs, the safer it will be for you.
As to travel, we try to maintain a set, steady speed generally for efficient operation and fuel mileage of the equipment. And some of the problems we have with cars is they don't like to follow a truck. Therefore, when you try to pass them, they'll speed up. If you fall in behind them, they'll slow down. And it makes it hard to maintain a steady speed. We like to keep the trucks, as I say, running at a fairly steady RPM. And wind them up a little bit for the hills so we can get efficient operation out of them. Motors seem to, well, they don't understand we don't have the acceleration that they have or the braking power.
In an ideal situation, all motor vehicles using the highways would be capable of stopping within approximately the same distance from a given speed. Unfortunately, stopping distance performance of trucks has always lagged considerably behind that of passenger cars. This lag is compensated for partially by the forward sight advantage in trucks due to height of the driver's position above the roadway.
When we're traveling in traffic, we have a problem with cars pulling up alongside of the truck and traveling in what we call the blind spot. Blind spot is where really our mirrors are ineffective, yet they're not far enough ahead that we can see them out of our side windows. Yeah, I've seen cases when they'll drive alongside of you for 10, 20 miles at a crack, And what happens is eventually you lose track of them. You've got a more serious blind spot on your right-hand side. The smaller cars are a little harder to see because they're not as tall or nearly as long as the older model cars.
In heavy traffic on the urban freeway, traveling in a truck's blind spot is a greater problem. The density of traffic sometimes forces you to run along beside a truck.
A lot of times you'll have a guy pull up next to you, and you'll go to switch lanes. Essentially, he thinks you cut him off and did it on purpose, but actually you didn't even know he was there.
So if you're in heavy traffic, leave that truck room to change lanes. There are all kinds of trucks out there on the road, and they carry all kinds of loads. It is estimated that 1 out of every 10 big trucks is carrying hazardous materials. Flammable, explosive, radioactive, caustic, poisonous or toxic gas. And some loads, although not necessarily hazardous, may not be very stable. So on multiple lane roads, if you're passing a truck or being passed, don't linger. The sooner you are away from him, the safer you'll be. In many states, on highways with 3 lanes in each direction, trucks are prohibited from using the left lane. Therefore, the center lane becomes the truck's only passing lane. And motorists should understand this and adjust their driving accordingly to cooperate with the trucks. On a 2-lane road, to pass or not to pass is a very critical decision, especially when the vehicle ahead is a large truck. Because it is so large, you must start farther back in order to see that the road ahead is clear. And due to its greater length, it will take you a longer period of time to pass. When you make that decision to pass the large truck, be certain that you have plenty of clear straight road ahead with no oncoming traffic. After you've passed a truck, don't move in front of it too quickly. Wait until you can see the front of its cab in your rear view mirror. A truck pushes a large wave of air, much like the wave from the bow of a boat. This wave of air can cause severe buffeting and loss of control, particularly with small cars and high winds. So if you're passing, being passed, or meeting a truck, stay as far away from him in your lane as possible.
A smaller car, a lot of times in especially high wind, will start drafting you from behind. Pull into you so close that you can't really tell he's behind you.
If you follow a truck too closely, your view of the road will be almost totally blocked. You'll be forced to depend on the truck's brake lights for a signal that something is going on ahead. This will cut your reaction time drastically. You should always allow yourself a margin of safety between your car and the vehicle ahead of you. This is doubly important when following a truck. But one of the motorists' biggest complaints is that trucks tailgate them.
This tailgating, yeah, I've seen it happen. I'm probably guilty of it myself to a point. A lot of the drivers that complain about it most are either the ones that, as I said before, will either not let you pass them when you try to pass. They'll speed up, and therefore you fall in front of them, or you fall behind them again, then they seem to slow down and creates a tailgating problem.
Sitting high in the cab of a truck, the driver can easily see over you, and he therefore has a definite sight advantage. Although it may seem to you that he is right on your bumper, he could be waiting for clear road to pass you, or for you to move over. Beware of any fast approaching truck on a downhill road.
The accident happened about 7 p.m., a mile east of the Lookout Mountain exit. The truck was heading eastbound on the interstate at a high speed when witnesses say it lost control.
This guy comes flying by us, must have been doing about 85 or so in the slow lane. And he went by us and then jumped back in the middle lane. And he was coming in this far lane where he's at now, and we saw a puff of smoke. Okay, and then the truck just started leaning more and more and more. and it just went down.
Another truck driver, David Urich, said he was following the runaway truck when its driver told him the brakes were gone.
All of a sudden, he says, I lost my brakes. And I thought he was going to run into me, which is what I wanted him to do, so I could slow him down. But he went around, so I says, try and hit the first on-ramp. Try and hit the first, where you can get off. And he missed it. He said he missed it. There's cars he couldn't get over. I said, try and get to the next one. This is how far he got. But he said he lost his brakes.
The driver was thrown clear of the truck. Paramedics tried to revive him for almost an hour. A coroner finally pronounced him dead. The driver's wife was also thrown clear. Paramedics treated her at the scene, then airlifted her to St. Anthony Central. She's listed in serious condition. 3 other cars were involved in the accident, but no motorists were injured. Firemen spent about an hour cleaning up debris as traffic backed up for about 6 miles on I-70. It stayed backed up for several hours until the truck was cleared. Victor Reyes, 9 News.
Behind me you see located a runaway truck escape ramp. These ramps are located in Colorado as well as other mountain states. They're used as a means to stop and control runaway semi-trucks. A runaway truck is any semi or large truck that is out of control due to the fact that they've lost their brakes or mechanical failure or the inexperience of a driver to maintain the truck at a safe speed on a steep downgrade.
Last evening, a motorist was killed in a stretch of roadway similar to this due to the fact unable to get out of a runaway truck driver's way. You as motorists can assist truck drivers and yourselves by being very observant of your mirrors, checking the mirrors every 3 to 5 seconds when traveling on downgrades. Should you observe a truck emitting a large amount of smoke from the lower part of the truck, is an indication that the truck has lost its brakes or overheated its brakes. At that time, you as driver should pull as far to the right as possible and stop, allowing the truck as much of the roadway as possible. You should never try to outrun a truck due to the fact the truck is generally traveling when out of control or when the truck is a runaway. The truck will be traveling approximately twice the speed of the general speed limit, generally around 100 to 110 miles per hour. Ramps are not a recreational area or even an emergency stopping area. Should you need to stop, you need to keep completely away from the entrance of the ramp and the approach to the ramp.
Open highway travel, however, is not the only place where the motorist must be alert to trucks.
That sort of thing happens all the time. Big trucks come to a corner, got to make a right-hand turn, we have to swing wide, put our directional lights on, and people just don't pay attention to it. Naturally, car gets in a blind spot on the truck, and you go to make your right-hand turn like I'm doing right now. We got to swing it wide. That girl just kind of figured that she could beat me around the corner, and she didn't make it. Luckily, it didn't happen any serious than what it was. I mean, she could have went right underneath the truck, and it could have been, like I said, a lot worse.
Many of the newer trucks have a right-hand turn signal underneath the trailer, but not all. So as that driver said,
So people got to realize that when they see the right-hand directional light on in a truck, and he swings out wide, they'll look out because he's got to make it.
be especially wary of trucks in wet weather. Truckers have more trouble braking smoothly and evenly on slick roads. And when truckers have trouble, so does any car that is close. When traveling in inclement weather, particularly on a two-lane highway, the spray of rain or snow from an 18-wheel truck can present a definite problem in visibility. You cannot possibly see the road ahead to pass. and federal law forbids the truck driver giving you any signal to pass. So relax. You'll get there. When meeting a truck under these conditions, pull as far to the right as possible and be certain your windshield wipers are on high. If the truck is passing you, slow down. Your visibility is practically zero. You as a motorist can increase the odds that you won't become a statistic with a truck by just following these few basic safety rules. Don't run along beside a truck. He may not be able to see you because you're in his blind spot. If a truck wants to pass you, let him, even if it means slowing down or pulling off the road. Be certain you have plenty of clear road ahead before attempting to pass a truck. Do it quickly, but be sure you can see his cab in your rearview mirror before cutting back. When passing, being passed, or meeting a truck, stay as far over in your lane as possible to avoid being sideswiped or to avoid the blast of air that could cause loss of control. Remember that a truck cannot stop as quickly as you can, so don't suddenly swerve in front of or stop suddenly in front of a truck. Don't tailgate a truck. He can't see you, and your view of the road ahead is completely blocked. When a truck is tailgating you, either speed up or let him pass. When driving on mountain roads or on any long downhill grade, keep an eye on your mirror for a fast approaching truck and be prepared to pull off the road and stop. Never stop in the entrance to a runaway truck ramp, even for an emergency. Remember that trucks require a wider turning area, and they first swing left to turn right. Give them room. Don't try to turn inside of a truck which is taking a right turn. Don't try to pass a truck when its spray impairs your visibility. Be sure your wipers and lights are on, and pull as far to the right as possible when meeting a truck that is throwing a blinding spray. Because so many trucks carry hazardous materials, it is best to stay well away from them, especially when a truck is involved in an accident. The center lane of multiple lane freeways is often the truck's passing lane, so adjust your driving techniques to help them. On some highways, it seems as if there are nothing but trucks, and of course near large centers of commerce and industry, there are many more, but they are out there to help serve your needs. Regardless of the number of trucks or the type of road, accidents don't just happen. They're caused by the actions of one or more drivers. You, as the driver of a passenger car, have an important role to play in preventing car-truck crashes by understanding and cooperating with truck drivers in safely sharing the roadways.